Oh, good morning. Hey, welcome to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. It's been a little while. Sorry about that. Little hiatus. Now it's time to get back into the action. I have a chess miniature to show you. Now, I am working on putting together some Artur Yusupov chess videos. I will start kicking them out this week, and we will take lessons from Artur Yusupov's chess course. But for right now, I want to do this chess miniature for you because this is really something. D4, D5, queen pawn opening. We've got this, I believe it's correspondence. It's Khan, and they didn't get the name of his opponent, Paris, 1932. But how this is played is a remarkably interesting kingside attack that really attracted me because it's definitely different than what I've seen before. And yet, isn't it interesting that each kingside attack is going to be different, and yet each kingside attack is going to have many similar themes, similar types of moves you need to make in order to be successful, certain types of sacrifices that you're going to have to get used to doing if you're going to do a successful kingside attack. So D takes the C4 on the black, and he's going to bump his A pawn. And he's going to come out, going to develop the bishop to F5. The knight's going to ask the bishop, what are you going to do? He wants to come and question him. Let me get my board straight so it doesn't fall or it doesn't swing. Yeah, that kind of gets me dizzy too. And then he bumps the bishop right back to B7, C, and away. He should have just put it on D7 in the first place. Right, in some regards, because he should be pressing the center pawn, developing and castling. So he's a move down, and White is going to take advantage of that, but he does want to put pressure on the queen side with his pawn thrust. We'll see how White handles that. He's going to relocate. Now, the knight on the rim doesn't do a whole lot for him, so rather than just leave him there doing nothing, it's better to relocate the knight and put him into the battle. And this is, and you know what's so weird is because it's such a simple thing. And you think, yeah, well, Black wasted his move and he has to move back. Well, didn't White do the same thing? Didn't he just waste a move to knight h4, and now he has to come and relocate his knight? Yeah, in many regards, that is correct. Yeah. You just want to keep track of these things. So now he's going to give himself a chance to get his bishop out. And he really does bring his knight. Now, that's much better than over there on the edge. So, you say, well, was it worth the excursion over there just to make him move his bishop back? He does have a nice central posted knight. It was worth taking 2 moves to redo that knight without question, because now he's in a position to do something useful. And that's what we all want. We want to make our pieces useful. So he's going to support the queen side, hopefully convincing White to start playing on the queen side, I suspect. White is instead going to keep developing. Notice he's not, they're leaving the tension. You could begin opening up some files, attacking with your pawns, etc. But that's not the priority. The priority is going to be developing your chess pieces, which is exactly what we see White doing. That's why he has such a good game. Now, rook a7, okay, he has brought up his chess piece. I agree. Here comes g4. Notice White is nowhere near capable of castling just yet. On the other hand, Black is no threat. There's really nothing going to come crashing through. And so White says, well, I'm going to go ahead and bop that pawn out there. We'll see what happens with this. Here comes the extra development on the bishop. That's good. And once he starts his thrust with the g-pawn, he's going to keep right on trucking. Now, and it's not overly rock solid either that White has control of the center, but he does have a decent center. And technically, we can't describe this as a locked center. The pawns are not locked, right? But it is a clogged center somewhat. So it's not like the pawns have made it so that it's impossible to get through the center. But while there's that much control in the center, you're preventing your opponent from doing a lot, unless he wants to exchange some center pieces. But that'll only open up the file for the white. Yeah. And technically speaking, you don't, if you can at all help it, you don't want to just without any provocation or any reason exchange one of your bishops for a knight anyway. Yeah, so white's feeling pretty good about his center. Well, that justifies a wing attack. And that's why he's continuing to push that pawn. He really does have the support of that central knight. You notice moving it from the edge over, taking 2 steps to move it over, has ended up being a very good thing. It's putting white in a really good position. I'm getting over, I think I got COVID a week and a half ago. I've been sick for like a week and a half. It's been horrible. Now the bishop does take the knight. And why? Because this pawn coming in with the knight there and the queen backing him up, that gets to be some really tricky combinations. So now black feels justified in taking the knight. We will see what effect that has. And the knight comes to d5. So it's a nice centralized knight on black's part. The center still hasn't been, so to speak, broken through or completely wiped out at all. So there's basically a good central pressure. And rather than exchanging the knight now he has that option, but rather than doing that, he's going to come to e4 and he's going to keep things posh in the center. And now black will castle. Notice white has not castled. And in fact, he's going to make it so he can't castle at least kingside. Perhaps he can go to the queen side. But it doesn't look like there's going to be any reason to here. The rook g1 gives him the g file, and that might be very helpful. So he's going to go ahead and pursue a queenside movement, a queenside thrust, because that is where he is most advanced. And when you have your pawns furthest forward in whatever area of the board, then that gives you the most space, which means you're able to manipulate your pieces better. So it makes sense that he's trying to go to the queen side to play on the queen side. That makes perfect sense. Check. Here comes the attack. And this is so interesting. What a fantastically interesting idea. Now, black's reaction is also very interesting. He goes king h8. Why doesn't he take the knight? Obviously not with the queen. Why doesn't he take the knight? Look at the power of that rook on the semi-open file. And technically, that's not even a semi-open file. This is showing us, again, that rule that is really a good one to keep and to utilize in our games. When you push the pawns against your opponent's king side, it's best if you can have the pieces behind them backing them up. In this instance, that's exactly what we see white doing. He's got the queen. He's got the rook. He can bring the bishop in. Not technically. That's somewhat semi-useful at this point. But right now, he's got the full thrust of that G file. And that makes a huge difference. And now he's going to add to that queen h5. So now we've got the pawn, we've got the queen, we've got the knight, and we've got the rook on the G file attacking the king. That's big stuff. That's huge stuff. He's going to try his best to thwart this attack. He will do so with h6. So once you begin an attack, two things You relentlessly go forward regardless of what piece or pawn sacrifices you have to make. This is the ideal, but do it. When you're going to do a kingside attack, you're going to sacrifice pieces, pawns, etc., right? So just throw everything you have at the kingside. And this is what he does. But watch how white does this. He presses the pawn to G6. He didn't take the pawn. He pressed the pawn. The nice thing is this Alekan block type move with the knight, preventing the f-pawn from moving forward. He's blockaded that f-pawn. So now he knows he's going to, pushing the g-pawn, he now knows he's going to be able to break the cover in front of that king and get to the king. That's not even a question now. So this is very, very interesting how he does this. Knight's going to come down here and put a fancy fork on the king and the rook, which is entirely far too late, too little. It's a one-piece attack, but it doesn't mean anything. And actually, black realizes that too, because now he realizes, well, I've got to protect this kingside no matter what. So he drops the bishop down, and now the breakthrough, and it's not where you think it's going to be. And this is what makes kingside attack so fun. Queen will take the h6. Kablam! Beer! Sacrifice the lady. Beautiful, beautiful sacrifice. And because that little squirt pawn on the g-file has the strength of the rook behind him, and the knight on f6 giving a fabulous Alekan block, covers the h7 and g8 square, checkmate with the pawn. Fantastic. This type of stuff is so fun to play through. Watch through this video several times until you get the mechanics right. This is fun stuff. So there is your chess video for the day. Hope you guys have a great day. Be good to all, have fun, make lots of friends, smile. It makes people wonder what you've been up to. And I shall return shortly with more chess videos. Thanks for all your support. Appreciate it.